Forgotten Shore. The Forgotten Shore in Guilty 3's Shadow Slave stands as one of the web novel's most iconic and terrifying regions, a continent-sized death zone that launches the protagonist Sunny's journey into the dream realm's horrors. Once a beautiful land bathed in sunlight, it devolved into a cursed hellscape through ancient cataclysms tied to divine wars and the Nightmare Spell. The Forgotten Shore spans a scale comparable to Earth's continents. Its defining features include a somber gray sky, black earth, and a vibrant, twisting sea of crimson coral blades, not true coral but a cursed material originating from the Crimson Spire. This labyrinth floods daily as the dark sea rises, forcing survivors to higher ground or safe paths like Bone Ridge. The western edge features the Sea of Ash, a silent wasteland of gray sand where coral dies, eerily free of monsters but soul-draining. East lies a cyclopean crater hundreds of kilometers wide, with the ground sloping into a colossal depression exposing underground voids. The entire region may be alive, speculated as a giant maw feeding the Crimson Terror through blood on the coral. After key events, spoilers below, the coral sea dissolves into ash, erasing the labyrinth and revealing connections to the underworld via bone-filled caverns. Key places and landmarks. Ashen Barrow, a tall, sand-covered hill resembling a mountain of ash, crowned by the massive soul-devouring tree, located west of the labyrinth. It's a key safe spot during floods. Bone Ridge, towering ivory skeletons of ancient sea monsters forming arches and palaces amid dense coral, serves as a nighttime highway through vertebrate tunnels. Colossal Crater, a massive depression east, with curved edges exposing the soul tree's roots, site of the Dark City on its rim. Crimson Spire, central tower guarded by 7 severed heads and a fallen terror, a soul-harvesting machine funneling essence to an artificial sun. Dark City, ruins perched on the crater's edge, housing the Bright Castle, features a library with a historical mosaic spiraling the land's fall. Labyrinth, multi-layered maze of crimson paths, tunnels, and mounds, illogical design with dead ends, speculated as part of a living entity. These places underscore the shore's transformation from lush paradise to cursed prison, with features like the daily floods emphasizing survival mechanics. The Forgotten Shore teems with nightmare creatures from awakened to great ranks, creating a predatory ecosystem where no native life survives beyond horrors. Key inhabitants include carapace scavengers, awakened beasts, crab centaur hybrids with chitin armor and pincers, scavenging in packs. Blood fiends, awakened monsters, skeletal, hunched figures in torn shrouds, with claws and fangs, blood-soaked and vicious. Cursed heralds, fallen monsters also called spire messengers, undead-like beings that deliver messages via severed heads. Soul-devouring tree, a colossal entity absorbing souls, with roots plunging into the crater. Crimson Terror, unnamed rank, implied great or higher, a colossal maw-like entity that absorbs souls, also called Terror of the Spire or Nameless Sun. Various unnamed creatures, flying abominations in clouds, giant spiders, awakened beasts, leeches, fallen beasts, and mimics like the Weeping Woman Beast, Fallen Beast. The Forgotten Shore drives the novel's first major arc, chapters 1-500+, focusing on survival and discovery. Key events include Sunny's cohort navigating the labyrinth, using Bone Ridge as shelter, and uncovering carvings depicting the land's fall to darkness and renewal. They battle creatures, discover the library's mosaic, and storm the Crimson Spire, defeating the fallen terror. Spoiler: destroying the artificial sun, Nameless Sun, dissolves the coral sea into ash, freeing the region but revealing underworld connections via caverns. The sun's annihilation causes a hecatomb, evolving the Crimson Terror from absorbed souls. Historically, the shore was a lush paradise destroyed by a darkness curse from the Hollow Mountains reservoirs. A civilization banished it, creating the spire as a soul machine to fuel the sun. Spoiler: the sun's liberating light turned deadly, funneling souls to the terror in a cycle of destruction. Narrative role: introduces the spell's cruelty, alliances, Nephi's, Cassie, and Sunny's growth, ties to godly wars, with the curse as a remnant of divine conflicts. The Forgotten Shore's lore roots in ancient cataclysms. Once beautiful, it fell to a consuming darkness curse, banished by forces of good, as per carvings and mosaics, ushering a new dawn, but at the cost of the sun's deadly radiance. The spire, a soul-harvesting artifact, funnels essence via the labyrinth, a living maw, to the sun, evolving the terror. Spoiler: the region is an artificial prison for the curse, locked underground. Destroying the sun erases the labyrinth, linking to the underworld, a discard realm of godly failures and outcasts like Nether's experiments. Fan theories speculate ties to demons like Weaver, with the flaw in creation mirroring Sunny's own flaw. As of 2025 chapters, it sets the tone for escalating horrors, symbolizing humanity's tenuous hold amid divine ruins. Hollow Mountains. The Hollow Mountains in Guilty 3's Shadow Slave represent a quintessential death zone within the dream realm, embodying themes of isolation, ancient curses, and existential dread. As a vast mountain chain stretching thousands of kilometers, they serve as a natural border between the Forgotten Shore and human territories, marked by their jagged, dragon-fang peaks wrapped in a perpetual veil of mist. Despite their name, these mountains are far from empty. They function as reservoirs of darkness, where this primordial force resides and originates, leaking into adjacent regions to fuel curses and horrors. The Hollow Mountains form a colossal barrier, with distant peaks covered in pristine white snow and enveloped in streaming mist that cascades into ravines and ridges. This mist is not benign. It acts as a veil hiding grotesque shapes and eerie sounds that echo as if consuming the mind, dissolving one's sense of self and pulling explorers into senselessness. The region is designated a death zone by humans, indicating no place for mortals, where even strong-willed individuals risk annihilation. Key structural features include the mountain's role as a preserve for dreadful beings, with their hollows actually filled with darkness, serving as reservoirs that contain and birth this malevolent force. Connections extend southward to human territories and northward to the Forgotten Shore, with underground elements linking to the underworld, emphasizing their position as a liminal boundary in the dream realm's cosmology. Deeper exploration reveals an underground mine, a wide, spacious tunnel leading inward, with forking paths and walls adorned with intricate stone carvings that evolve from simple patterns to detailed tales of curses and darkness. Further in lies a circular hall with a central dark chasm resembling gates to the underworld. At its bottom flows a black as ink underground river, devoid of salt scent, with wisps of mist rising in silent darkness, a stark boundary to deeper realms. Tied to a stone pillar on the shore is a beautiful boat of pale wood, hinting at ancient traversals. Additionally, a vast quarry at the southern edge provided materials for the mighty wall of the Dark City in the Forgotten Shore, underscoring the mountain's resource role in historical constructions. Key places. Hollow Mountains proper, jagged peaks piercing the skies, wrapped in mist that conceals unfathomable horrors capable of reshaping reality with alien malice. The mist itself is a feature, dangerous enough to dissolve self-awareness, requiring immense willpower to navigate. Underground mine and hall, expansive tunnels with preserved carvings depicting ancient curses. The circular hall's chasm leads to the river, symbolizing a gateway to hellish depths. Black River and boat, an ink-black waterway at the chasm's bottom, mist-swirled and silent, marking the underworld's boundary. The pale boat suggests forgotten passages or escapes. Southern Quarry, a vast pit where materials were mined for the Dark City's defenses, contains an unmarked grave inscribed, "Her nightmare was over," adding a poignant human element to the desolation. Mist Veil and Abyss, the flowing white mist rolls down slopes into the sky below's dark abyss. Breaches reveal hidden entities, tying into broader dream realm voids. These places highlight the mountain's dual nature as both a physical barrier and a metaphysical reservoir, with features like the mist and darkness reservoirs central to the region's lethality. The Hollow Mountains teem with inhabitants that embody pure peril, making them uninhabitable for mortals. Primary denizens include great abominations and cursed ones, grotesque shapes lurking in the mist, capable of world-reshaping malice with their alien wills. Deeper ventures encounter creatures of nothingness, ethereal beings that emerge from the void, dissolving victims' essence. These entities form a hostile ecosystem where survival demands not just physical strength but mental fortitude, as the mist and eerie cries alone can kill by eroding the mind. No human settlements exist. The region serves as a natural preserve for these horrors, with sparse mentions of outcasts or godly remnants exiled to connected realms like the underworld. The darkness reservoirs sustain this ecosystem, birthing and containing the malice that defines the inhabitants' chilling presence. Events in the Hollow Mountains are sparse but pivotal, often serving as lore dumps or turning points in the story. Ancient carvings in the underground mine preserve tales of curses banished to these reservoirs, depicting a civilization's fall and renewal, echoing broader dream realm cataclysms. The Southern Quarry's role in supplying stone for the Dark City's wall ties into the Forgotten Shore's history, where trapped awakened built defenses against nightmare creatures. A mysterious unmarked grave in the quarry, "Her nightmare was over," hints at tragic human stories amid the desolation, possibly a resolved nightmare or lost explorer. Key narrative events include border crossings. Protagonist Sunny navigates from the Chained Isles to the Forgotten Shore via the mountains, encountering the mist's dangers. A clash of saints on the northern island momentarily breaches the mist veil, revealing hidden horrors beneath. Spoiler, this exposes the mountain's role as darkness origins, connecting to the Forgotten Shore's artificial curse and the underworld's discard ecosystem. In later arcs, spoilers ahead, the mountains facilitate revelations about divine wars. Gods used nothingness to cage voids, with the hollows as scarred reservoirs leaking malice. Nether's retreat to the connected underworld after defeat by the storm god further layers the lore, with experiments birthing stone saints and abominations that occasionally spill into the mountains. The Hollow Mountains' narrative role is as a forbidding threshold, symbolizing the dream realm's unforgiving boundaries and tying into themes of corruption, exile, and existential threats. They appear in arcs like The Forgotten Shore and Chained Isles, underscoring humanity's fragile foothold. The Hollow Mountains' lore roots in the dream realm's ancient cosmology. They are not truly hollow but reservoirs of darkness, where this force lives and emanates, influencing curses like the Forgotten Shore's soul-devouring sea. Historical carvings tell of a banished curse's containment, with the mountains as its prison. Spoiler: this darkness is a remnant of godly wars, where entities of nothingness were sealed, leaking alien malice that reshapes reality. Connections to the underworld, a subterranean discard realm of godly failures and outcasts, occur via the Black River and Chasm, where gods exile their human aspects post-ascension. Nether, demon prince defeated by the storm god, retreated here, establishing a citadel and experimenting on creations like stone saints. Spoiler: failures populate the abyss, forming grotesque ecosystems that bleed into the mountains. The mist, a veil of nothingness, ties into void caging mechanics. Gods used nothing to envelop voids, placing desire's cage above the surface world. Fan theories speculate the mountains as scars from these wars, potentially holding keys to undoing the nightmare spell. Chained Isles. The Chained Isles sprawl across the untamed northern edge of Clan Valor's dominion, a savage frontier pressed against the Hollow Mountains like a celestial gauntlet forged in nightmare. Countless islands drift suspended in the void, bound by colossal iron chains that groan and thunder like the breath of angry gods, hoisting the land masses upward in relentless cycles or letting them plummet in dizzying descent. When an island rises, the crushing descends, a merciless gravitational vice that flattens flesh and bone into pulp. Only the featherlight or those rooted to the earth endure. The pressure swells with altitude and chain length, claiming even saints in its unyielding embrace. The islands themselves are a kaleidoscope of peril and wonder, barren crags scorched by eternal winds, verdant meadows hiding lethal blooms, ancient ruins swallowed by flame and ash, fields where flowers whisper lullabies of endless sleep. Two skies reign in opposition. Above stretches the familiar azure vault, painted with sun, moon, and stars, yet ascend too far, and the air thickens into an imploding tomb. Below yawns an abyssal darkness, pierced by ghostly stars born of lingering divine flames, where silence devours the mind and leaves only madness. Beneath each island lurks perpetual shadow, a realm of migrating horrors that stalk the undersides, feasting on anything with wings foolish enough to venture near. The southern reaches are comparatively tame, claimed by humanity a mere decade past, their borders fortified against the wild. Northward, the chaos escalates toward the hollows. At the heart gapes the Tear, an ever-widening maw of oblivion, perhaps the grave of the fallen ivory tower, swallowing all in its inexorable expansion. 7 mighty chains once anchored the isles in fragile harmony, now, lesser fragments lash island to island. One link falters between Shipwreck Island and Twisted Rock, its failure threatening a cataclysmic unraveling. To the south, a titanic chain bridges the abyss to solid ground, cascading waterfalls into the endless depths below. Scattered across this aerial labyrinth are havens and horrors alike. The sanctuary of Noctis rises on Altar Island, a fortified citadel of the White Feather clan, centered around a serene pool and an ancient, gnarled tree, an essential refuge for the awakened. Far north stands the enigmatic Night Temple, Valor's shrouded outpost for its devoted servants. Iron Hand Island offers grassy respite amid weathered stone columns and the rusted remnant of a gigantic hand, its threats mercifully sparse. The forest of twisted trees cloaks an ancient woodland where a mighty wolf met its end. Jagged Rocks hosts the crumbling Temple of the Chalice, guarded by stone gargoyles and spectral wraiths. Reckoning Island beguiles with pastoral beauty, silent hills and streams, yet conceals a mimic fallen devil that warps perception and devours the unwary. At the Tear's precipice hangs Shipwreck Island, cradle to a shattered vessel of Noctis and a colossal iron corpse suspended in chains. Twisted Rock smolders with molten fury, teetering on collapse. A northern isle blooms with violent flowers amid the ruins of a fortress chained to the hollows. Countless unnamed perils dot the expanse, fields of white blossoms that induce eternal slumber, swarms of gluttonous ants, vegetation that hungers for flesh. Few souls brave this realm, a scant gathering of awakened, rarer masters and saints clustered mainly at the sanctuary. The Night Temple guards its secrets. A new saint has ascended to command, succeeding Sky Tide in oversight. Nightmare creatures prowl from dormant to fallen tiers, corrupted abominations of ferocious whimsy. Winged beasts fall prey to the undersiders, others embody the land's deceit, ants that devour in legions, killer plants, soporific flowers, a lake terror slain for the ruby knife, gargoyles and wraiths, the sight-twisting mimic devil, and vast entities lurking in the void below. Survival demands mastery of the crushing, evasion of the dual skies crush and insanity, anticipation of migratory swarms during cycles, wariness of deceptively serene havens, navigation by the chain's ominous symphony, vigilance against the tier's creep, and resilience amid scant human aid. In the tale's grand weave, the chained isles stand as a crucible of endurance, testing adaptation to the crushing, serving as citadel anchors for the clans, staging grounds for ruinous battles and creature hunts. The failing chains herald impending collapse, echoing the ancient sun god's wrath upon the sky below, fueling arcs of migration, and luring seekers with promises of forbidden treasures. Nightmare Desert. The Nightmare Desert is a vast expanse of flawless white sands under a blinding incandescent sun and deep azure sky, evoking an ancient ocean's depths. Scattered are inky black ruins like buried giant bones. By day, it's scorching and lifeless; at night, it's the land of the dead, with eternal undead battles. East of the Forgotten Shore, it's connected to broader Dream Realm horrors. Key places: the Black Skull Citadel, a foreboding stronghold. The Tomb of Ariel, a giant black pyramid mirage. Survivors' camps with 5 metal towers like a steel gauntlet buried in sand, reflecting blinding light, temporary refuges amid the chaos. Inhabitants are sparse but deadly. By night, armies of ancient dead rise, locked in eternal combat, reliving the Doom War's battles. Nightmare creatures include great ones controlling corpses, speaking human language flawlessly. These corrupted undead pose massive threats. No native humans, only transient survivors or awakened endure the heat and wars. The ecosystem is nocturnal warfare, with day offering deceptive peace. The desert drives Sunny's third nightmare arc. Spoiler: he ascends to terror rank, masters Shadow Dance's 4th step, gains overpowered memories, explores lore and weaving, acquires a new echo or shadow. Speculation includes drop of Ichor or Weaver's Eye, with off-screen Soul Serpent Ruin examination. Lore: it's the last battlefield of the Doom War between demons and gods, a cataclysm leaving a haunted wasteland. Nephi's 2-year journey calls it vast and terrible, tying to Citadel quests. Spoiler: in Judgment Day arc, Lucius targets anomalies like this desert's flaws. Fan theories linked to endgame spell revelations. Godgrave. Godgrave is a vast death zone, the corpse of a fallen god, likely the sun god. Its titanic skeleton stretches 5,000 kilometers from skull to knee, forming the landscape. Skull on Hollow Mountains, body south, separating sword and song domains. Ground is a sea of ash with vermilion grass, sky shrouded in clouds hiding a white void that incinerates everything if breached. No nights, constant twilight diffusion. Key places: hollows inside bones. Breastbone is continent-sized, with humid jungles, colossal trees, vines, red moss, includes Vanishing Lake. Collarbone near Song Camp, spine most dreadful, femur in south. Ruins, overgrown stone edifices swallowed by flora. Citadels, Nameless Temple, partially dark, 4 hollow ones for traversal, western collarbone, central breastbone, spine, and femur. 5th suspected in skull, too perilous. Inhabitants adapt to whims, fast life cycles, born, grow, die before ash turning. Nightmare creatures from corrupted to cursed, enormous, grotesque predators. Flora like red moss, vines. Weaker horrors flee floods, preyed on by stronger. Saints survive but die easily, no human settlements, only bordering war camps. Events: battlefield for sword and song domains, war, control vital for invasions. Storms flood hollows, causing migrations. Sword expands into breastbone under anvil, hunting cursed grounds, but dangers persist. Lore spoiler: once sun gods populated realm with advanced cities, shattered in wars, leaving ash and voids. Immolating sky from destruction. Ties to Dream Realm as godly graveyard, potential remnants influence clans. Ravenheart. Ravenheart is the northernmost stronghold in the Song domain, perched far northwest of Bastion. Geographically, Ravenheart thrives on a towering mountain chain blending pristine snowy peaks with smoldering volcanoes. This mix creates a blessed land. Volcanic ash fertilizes soil, geothermal heat powers hot springs and mining, and the volcanoes act as a natural barrier against the encroaching freeze from the west. Without them, the cold would swallow everything, bringing eerie, hostile beings from those icy wastes. The environment's harsh, biting winds, sudden eruptions, but Queen Kisong and her transcendent daughters shield citizens from disasters. It's a place of stark beauty, black ash against white snow, fertile lowlands for farming mystical ores, and modern infrastructure built with geothermal energy. Yet, it's deadly for the unprepared, with abominations lurking in the mountains. Ravenheart divides into 3 distinct districts, each tailored to its inhabitants. The largest sprawls on the fuming volcano's dark slope, heated against the cold, housing millions of mundane humans in sturdy black stone homes. This is the everyday hub, plowing ashen fields, mining, and building. Opposite it, across a bottomless chasm, stands the 3rd district, the Jade Palace, an ancient, labyrinthine structure originally cut from pure white jade but now blackened to obsidian glass by volcanic wrath. It's sublime, ethereal, visible from anywhere in the city, and home to the Song clan elites. Connecting them is the 2nd district, a grandiose stone bridge spanning the chasm like a giant's road, engraved with intricate patterns. This bridge town hosts most awakened citizens, who brave the winds and winter. The palace itself is immense, a maze of halls, chambers, and corridors, with stone gardens, statues, icy pools, and hot springs. Its architecture varies, human-scale areas mix with colossal spaces for towering beings. Deep underground, vast ice caves once hid the Queen of Worms' undead puppet army. Spoiler territory here, we'll dive deeper later. The gateway to the waking world sits in a tranquil hall with cascading water over a beautiful sculpture. There are 3 throne rooms, one human-sized and regal, a cavernous one for giants, and a hidden subterranean one built by Kisong. The Dream Gate faces the palace on the volcano slope, drawing supplies and settlers. Markets buzz with stalls selling nightmare creature materials, weapons, and rarities, though elite shops require trekking through the cold. Ravenheart's palace was built by Ariel, the demon of dread, millennia ago, explaining its inconsistent scales and grandeur. It stood empty for thousands, emanating opulence. Kisong refined underground caves, building a hidden throne room. The West's frozen hell wasn't always so. Civilizations fell to gradual cold, halted by volcanoes, perhaps tied to godly wars or demons like Nether. History, from lesser clan to rivaling valor's sword domain, despite smaller territory. It's younger but potent, with Beastmaster's creature control key to development. Spoilers, in late chapters, 2300+, revelations link it to Ariel's legacy. Ice caves concealed the Queen of Worms puppets, pivotal in worm-related plots. The name honors the founder, symbolizing ascent from obscurity. Overall, Ravenheart embodies human tenacity against corruption, voids, and divine remnants. Bastion. Bastion anchors the Sword Domain, Valor Clan's territory, positioned south of the Chained Isles and southwest of Ravenheart. Geographically, Bastion perches on the Lake of Bones, a deep, clear body of water that's deceptively tranquil but patrolled by nightmare creature echoes. The surrounding landscape. A vast sea of ash from a destroyed ancient forest, once a colossal titan. The castle itself is gargantuan, like an artificial mountain, built of grey stone scarred by ancient sieges. It's divided into concentric rings with spiral thoroughfares for defense, white stone streets, and outer walls as monoliths. But here's the twist, Bastion has dual realities. The false Bastion is a sunlit fairy tale city with lush vibes, while the true Bastion emerges under a fractured moon, a cold, restless lake reflecting pale stars, encircled by a harrowing forest teeming with beasts. This duality hides the realm's primal savagery behind human illusion. Inside, Bastion's layout screams strategy, distinct levels behind inner walls, with gates allowing arrow barrages on invaders. The outermost ring features paved streets and buildings hugging the barrier wall. Deeper in, the main keep demands circling paths, perfect for sieges. Standouts include the Lake of Bones, not just scenic but a gateway to dangers, with swords as surveillance tools. Then there's the hydroelectric power plant, blending modern tech with sorcery for electric lights. But the star? The Great Mirror, an ancient artifact in an underground stone maze, framed by pillars and veiled in black cloth. It swaps realities, containing one bastion while the other manifests. In True Bastion, you'll find the Mirror Maze and Hall of Imagination, where illusions become real. These places tie into runic sorcery from the other side, making Bastion a nexus of magical experimentation. Bastion bustles with about 1 million residents in the castle alone, half-awakened warriors. Add millions more in the surrounding city from the southern campaign evacuations. Society thrives on Valor Clan's rule, knights like squires and paladins, all devout and serious, inheriting war god lineages for crafting prowess. Currency. Minted coins infused with soul essence, backed by shard treasuries. Enchanted armor is everyday gear, thanks to transport woes. But lurking horrors, the others, alien entities from True Bastion's reflections. They're sentient but incomprehensible, emerging from mirrors or the lake without ranks or aspects. Strict rules bend speaking to reflections, breaking them invites death. Even elite knights fall victim. Morgan, a key figure, destroyed her own reflection for immunity, a rite of passage. Bastion embodies illusion versus reality. The false version is more real than reality, indistinguishable to most, but tied to the demon of imagination's conquered stronghold, a taboo costing valor dearly. The Great Mirror, possibly the true one in the Hall of Imagination, enables runic sorcery and reality manipulation. Spoilers, it's a relic from godly wars, linking to demons like Weaver, whose reflection shatters minds, Chapter 2550. True Bastion's forest echoes primal gods, the others manifest unknown forces, not malice but alien indifference. Historically, Valor's forgers create memories from war god bloodline, guarding secrets. Ambitions eye hollow mountains, with outposts like Night Temple. Post-Anvil's disappearance, cousins rule amid sovereign power plays. Connections, south to Stormsea's endless oceans, east to Nightmare Desert's undead battles. Bastion's prosperity masks corruption risks, fueling Sunny's ascensions and spell revelations. Bastion serves as the most prosperous and strategically vital citadel in the dream realm of Shadow Slave, functioning as the Valor Clan's stronghold and a symbol of human endurance against nightmare creatures. Its dual nature, comprising an illusory false bastion and a harrowing true bastion, underscores themes of deception, power, and the fragile boundary between reality and sorcery. Founded amid conquest and destruction, it houses millions while concealing ancient artifacts and alien threats, driving key narrative arcs involving political intrigue, battles, and cosmic revelations. Burned Forest. The Burned Forest lies beyond the northern reaches of the Forgotten Shore, separated by the eerie land of Barrows, those brown hills dotted with ancient mounds. It's far north of human strongholds like Bastion, past the Hollow Mountains, marking it as a frontier death zone where even saints tread carefully. Geographically, imagine a sea of black pillars rising like tower-wide trunks of dead giants, each scorched but unbroken after millennia of flames. The ground is buried under hundreds of meters of intertwined deadfall, broken branches and trunks at steep angles, forming an impassable maze of chasms and tunnels. No sunlight pierces the depths, it's a ribcage-like wilderness under perpetual ashen skies, with charcoal dust choking the air. This isn't a forest, it's a graveyard of titans, feeling alive in its death, as if something watches from the hollows. Fans note Sunny enters from the east side of the Forgotten Shore, near a knight statue, but he only skirts the edges, never delving deep due to the perils. Central to the Burned Forest is the Great Trunk, a colossal stump of what was once the World Tree, unfathomably large. It's the heart of this ruined expanse. Beneath the deadfall lie uncharted voids, potentially hiding crushed cities, temples, or a smoldering core. The outskirts host great abominations, while deeper areas echo with distant heartbeats, hinting at lingering sentience. Features include its ties to the Heart Realm. Once a lush sacred forest, it was the domain of the Heart God, embodying souls, growth, and hunger. Now, it's frozen in eternal aftermath, a scar from hellfire that burned for thousands of years without fully consuming the wood. This resilience suggests divine craftsmanship, making it a place where beauty and terror blur. Inhabitants are scarce but terrifying, primarily nightmare creatures adapted to this scorched hell. The Black Millipede tribe dominates, corrupted beasts with armored bodies 3 meters long, human-like mouths full of needle fangs. Swarms number in millions, from small horrors to dozens of meters-long giants, led by colorful carapace tyrants. The Millipede queens are nightmarish, enormous, impenetrable chitin shells, existing in an ambiguous state between moments in time, making them nearly unkillable. They spawn endless offspring from fortified hives. Great abominations lurk on the edges, while deeper threats remain unknown. Even Sunny, a powerhouse, faces them as the bottom of the food chain, emphasizing the forest's lethality. Events in the burned forest are rare but intense. In Chapter 1796, Sonny, as a sovereign, attempts to carve a path through, reminded of his vulnerability. He encounters a massive tide of millipedes rising from the depths, forcing a brutal fight. Using his shadow domain and avatars, he battles but ultimately turns back, pursued relentlessly. Post-forest, the climate shifts to freezing cold, revealing absorbed real-world fragments like Antarctica, LO49. This highlights the Dream Realm's expansion, swallowing parts of Earth. Earlier hints come from ancient carvings in related regions, telling of the forest's fall. The burned forest was the sacred forest, Heart God's realm of primordial life. Tied to demons like the Demon of Repose, who ended, or caused, an ice age, achieving balance with the world tree. But calamity struck, unending winter, then consuming flames from the nightmare spell, devouring the realm. An unholy terror may have ignited the burn, leaving eternal scars. Sonny senses ancient faces in wood and a heartbeat, suggesting residual divine essence. The center remains unexplored, potentially catastrophic. This ties to broader themes: fallen gods, corruption voids, and the spell's cruelty. Fan theories speculate connections to Beast God's realm nearby. Storm Sea. The Storm Sea stretches far west of Ravenheart and marks the southern edge of the known Dream Realm, beyond human coastal maps. It's an infinite oceanic expanse under a perpetual starry night, forever lashed by violent tempests. Think waves taller than fortress walls, howling winds carrying salt and ozone, and thunder that never stops. Once the domain of the storm god, also called the goddess of black skies, depths, oceans, darkness, stars, travel, guidance, and disaster, it's now a corrupted remnant consumed by the nightmare spell. Space and time warp here, a day might blink by, while nights drag on eternally. It's mostly twilight with pale, mystical stars, but rare sunlight breaks through without clouds. Navigation is a nightmare, locations shift, courses loop, and sailors end up in deadly waters. Ordinary methods fail, only those attuned to the stars can guide through it. Humans can survive in calmer pockets, but venturing deep often means death. It's as vast as the rest of the explored Dream Realm, with waters varying wildly, like comparing the deadly Godgrave to Bastion's lawns. No land masses, just endless undulating water, making it a barrier isolating regions. Amid the chaos floats the Night Garden, the House of Night's great citadel, a titanic ship over a kilometer wide, seamless wooden hull like a living entity. It's a floating city with dozens of decks, palaces, pagodas, and gardens that bloom with soul essence. Not built on land, it sails the storms, serving as a hub for trade, learning, and intrigue. Deeper in the heart lies the Eternal City, a sunken utopia now at the storm sea's abyss bottom. Originally built among the stars in the black skies, it's a radiant metropolis of silver spires, stone buildings, squares, and parks across islands divided by rivers. Protected by a colossal dome from crushing depths, it's illuminated by a great lighthouse, crafted by the Demon of Repose to guide through darkness. Districts include residential areas, vibrant leisure zones with shops and theaters, and lush park islands with silver trees and canals. Standouts: the clock tower, wharf, a living cradle that repairs ships like the Night Garden, and the Central Palace, a jagged mass of black spires, ominous and spear-like, sprawling across an island. Though pristine, shadows of its fallen immortals haunt the streets. The primary inhabitants are the Nightwalkers of the House of Night, descendants of the Storm God, gifted with her lineage for star navigation. They're expert guides through the treacherous waters, using mystical stars as compasses where others fail. Their bloodline lets them thrive in this chaos, ruling from the Night Garden. In the Eternal City, things turn darker, overwhelming immortals and abominations, bound eternally. These are the worst of the worst, creatures hated by the Demon of Repose, granted immortality but trapped in a paradise prison. Death here binds souls forever, eroding sanity as time warps. No escape while the city stands, making it a hell of endless revival and torment. Key events shape the Storm Sea's history. The Eternal City fell from the black skies after the Storm God's wrath, crashing to the sea bottom yet surviving millennia under pressure. Nightwalker, a founder of the House of Night, ventured its edges, entering the lighthouse to claim the Storm God's lineage, escaping with starlight memories that empowered his clan, though some perished. In later arcs, the Night Garden docks at the living wharf, merging for repairs, branches fuse, soul essence flows, gates thunder shut. Sonny's group glimpses these in their journeys, highlighting the region's role in broader conflicts like the Doom War. The Storm Sea is the corrupted Twilight Sea, once ruled by King Darren the Serpent King. It was a divine realm, the storm god's very body/corpse, existing independently before absorption post-God's death in the Doom War. Gods moved via avatars, demons freely. Repose built the eternal city as a prison, not paradise, immortals confined eternally, mechanism sustaining even after her absence. Neutral ties between Repose and Storm soured in war. The lighthouse guided Black Sky's travelers, now it beacons underwater. In late chapters, 2600+, Sonny finds Weaver's lineage fragment hidden in the palace's void chamber, a spider silk scroll, 6th piece, protected by star radiance. The dome's potential collapse could flood it, destroying the sorcery. Overall, Storm Sea embodies divine fall, corrupted guidance amid disaster, isolating realms and fueling nightmare seeds. Underworld. The underworld sprawls beneath the Hollow Mountains, a jagged death zone chain that's already a nightmare above ground. Picture an inverted world, vast halls and caverns so deep they form a crypt under the dream realm's floorboards. No sun, stars, or light penetrates, it's engulfed in true darkness, an elemental force that's not just absence of light but a living void, hostile to souls and shadows alike. This isn't a poetic afterlife, it's a tangible boundary between the living and dead, directly linking to the shadow realm below. The air is thick with nothingness, a devouring mist that erodes your sense of self, turning explorers into empty husks. Runes from Nether hint at its origins. Gods used nothing to cage the void, with the underworld as a thin seam where it leaks. Even saints like Broken Sword's cohort fled it as certain death. It's north of human territories, accessible via chasms in the Forgotten Shore or hollows, but entry means risking soul-shattering madness. Key spots amplify the underworld's dread. The great hollows within the mountain peaks house Nether's followers, vast chambers like inverted fortresses, echoing with ancient remnants. Deeper lies the heart of the underworld, a core sanctum where Nether crafted his masterpieces, now home to the Stone Saints. The dark abyss at the bottom is a yawning void, dumping ground for failed experiments and outcasts, evolving into a grotesque ecosystem. Halls stretch endlessly, filled with true darkness that consumes all. Connections include underground rivers from the hollows leading here, and descents into the Shadow Realm. Nether's citadel dominates, a sprawling fortress of stone and shadow. These places aren't just settings, they're lore hubs, scarred by demon wars and godly experiments. Inhabitants make the underworld a living horror. Ruling it all is Nether, the prince of the underworld, a demon, last child of the forgotten god, sibling to Weaver. Defeated in war, he retreated here, bending darkness to his will. His followers, ghostly remnants of his army, incorporeal warriors bound eternally. The Stone Saints, his children, are immortal guardians carved from rock and animated by sorcery, silent vigils of power. Discarded failures twist into abominations, haunting the abyss alongside ancient horrors born from darkness, hunting in the depths. Outcasts, including exiled human parts of ascended gods, add to the mix. It's a hierarchy of despair, loyalists above, monstrosities below. Events define its tragedy. Nether's rebellion against the storm god ended in defeat, forcing his seclusion here. He built his citadel and experimented, birthing Stone Saints amid failures. In the story, Nephice enters during her second nightmare, allying with Uris to traverse its horrors. Broken Sword's cohort faces their fourth nightmare here, fleeing as sovereigns overwhelmed. These tie into broader arcs, godly ascensions dumping human remnants, and the Dream Realm's formation fusing these domains. Sonny glimpses connections via hollow chasms. The underworld embodies divine fallout, true darkness as blood of a void entity slain by gods, caged by nothing with hollows as scars. Nether, a demon of independence, rebelled for unknown reasons, creating servants post-defeat. Stone Saints are his legacy, but failures bred ecosystems. It's a liminal space, boundary to Shadow Realm, source of darkness leaking into surface curses like the Forgotten Shore. God's human halves exile here post-ascension, per chapter summaries, e.g., Heracles' shadow. Fan theories link it to forgotten God's children, with Nether as key to void mysteries. Overall, it highlights spells' cruelty, demonic resilience, and realms' interconnected ruins.